turn our attention to the COVID relief bill that was passed by the House over the weekend. It's a big bill, $1.9 trillion, wide ranging. There's money for unemployment benefits. There's money for improving school infrastructure, for COVID testing, for buying PPE. There are provisions for, childcare. It's just way too comprehensive for us to go into all the details here. So I just want to ask you, what do you think are the most important elements of the bill?
Well, taking care of the economic situation in the country. So the extension of unemployment until September is really going to give a lot of breathing room to millions of Americans who just can't find work. The jobs aren't available. The help for rent and utilities so people don't lose their homes. The $1,400 payment to help people kind of weather the storm a little bit here. Those are really the critical pieces of this entire thing, because it takes care of in making sure that people don't go bankrupt, make sure they don't destroy their credit. Because if you're a working class person, you destroy your credit, it could take you 10, 15 years to climb out of that. And so we want to prevent that from happening, because if we're going to have a robust recovery, then it's going to mean people are economically secure. They're able to go back to work, and they got a few bucks in their pocket to go out and spend at those restaurants who have been crippled. We're going to need people to go back out to dinner and out to the bars and out to the venues and keep those places going. And then the schools and the local governments are also going to get a good shot in the arm with this thing. And these communities need to get rebuilt. So we're going to come out of this thing, I think, potentially a lot stronger than we went in, because these communities are going to have some money, and hopefully we can get a little wind at our back with the economy.
Is the number right? I mean, you're already hearing it, not just to mention Republicans saying just the number's too big, but there are even some Democrats in the Senate that are saying the number's just too big. Where are you on that?
I think it's just fine. I think 1.9 trillion is a good number. It's a solid number. I'm old enough and got enough gray hair that I was around in 2009 when we did a stimulus bill. And at the time I was saying it wasn't big enough. And the economy dragged on, slow recovery around wages, around the workforce, unemployment just dragged on. And because we didn't make that initial investment robust enough, we're not going to make that same mistake here. And I think this is a good number that's going to be a good shot in the arm for the economy, and is going to allow us to have the kind of recovery that the American people expect us to have.
So the two schools of thought seem to be, as I understand it, that look, let's say you had a flood and all your kitchen was damaged, all your appliances were damaged. The two schools of thought seem to be, on the one hand, fix what was broken, right? The appliances are what's damaged. What's damaged is that. Focus on that. The other school of thought seems to be, why don't you fix what you didn't like to begin with? So how do you argue that point?
Well, the whole idea here is to help the economy for everybody. And this is an opportunity. It's about public health for sure. It's about vaccinations and testing and all of those things. But it's also about an economic recovery that everyone can share in that recovery. And those are the investments that are included in here. And I think they're in hand in glove. I mean, I just don't see those as separate, because the idea really is, how do we have an economy that can thrive post-pandemic, and communities that can thrive post-pandemic. And yeah, the pandemic did some damage, but there was a heck of a lot of damage before the pandemic ever hit. And this is an opportunity for us to plug these communities in, clean these communities up, and allow them to participate in the growth that's going to come. So the bigger strategy is, if you take a step back, is hopefully after this, we have a robust infrastructure bill where we really start rebuilding the country. I mean, our country needs rebuilt: water lines, sewer lines, roads, bridges, schools, infrastructure, ports, blah, on and on and on. So this is a first step into that by getting money to the local communities. I think it's the first step in a broader package to rebuild the United States of America, which is what Joe Biden promised he would do. And in the COVID bill here is a down payment to make sure that every community can participate in that. And this has been 30 years. I mean, I just get a kick out of these, folks who are saying like this, this has nothing to do with the pandemic. It's like, okay, we've got communities that have been completely left behind by globalization, by automation, by inequality, by terrible trade and tax policies that left people behind, and the government had absolutely no response to help them. Now we're trying to take steps to repair that, and this COVID bill is an opportunity to take that first step.